Welcome to SportsBeat KC, the Kansas City Star's daily sports podcast. It's Monday, May 10th, and I'm Blair Kirchhoff. About this time every year, one of the great fundraising events in Kansas City is held, and the two headliners, George Brett and Tom Watson, say they want this one to be the last. Not because they don't enjoy being part of the Joe McGuff ALS Classic at LionsGate in Overland Park. To the contrary, it's a special day for them as well. But for the legendary sports figures who've been impacted by the disease, Watson lost his caddy Bruce Edwards and Brett, a friend, Keith Worthington, not having the fundraiser would mean a cure has been found. Until then, Brett and Watson will continue to participate and have fun with the golfers for a great cause. As they always do, Brett and Watson took questions from reporters, in this case, star columnist Vahe Gregorian and me, and there were plenty of topics to cover, starting with their devotion to the ALS fundraising cause. Also, we discussed the Royal season, from their great April to their current malaise, and how Brett and Watson worked their way out of slumps. We also talked about a sport that keeps Watson's competitive juices flowing. My favorite part of this is when Tom and George speak to each other about sports and other topics. So, let's get started talking to Kansas City sports legends George Brett and Tom Watson.
39 years, that doesn't seem that long, but it's been a long haul. We've seen progress. I think this tournament does a lot of good for the people in the Midwest that contact this disease, and makes their lives a little bit easier, not only for the patient, but the people surrounding the patient. To be honest with you, I'm tired of having the tournament. I want to find a cure for ALS, and that's why we're all here. We started something. I came up with an idea after the Ice Bucket Challenge. I was doing a PSA at the house and doing some videos for ALS at the house one day, and we were done, and all of a sudden I said, no, hold on, I got an idea. And my son had made me a little, in high school, Dylan made me a little ceramic bucket. And like everybody else in the world, you come home and you take your change and you throw it in the bucket. So all of a sudden I came up with this idea. I said, Lindsay, we should come up with a thing, change for ALS. And I got the bucket and I said, turn the camera on, and I started reaching in and I grabbed all this money and I kept dropping it. Just kept dropping it. And so we've come up with a fundraising idea, change the number 4, which ironic, Lou Gehrig's number, for ALS. And that day I took all that money to the bank and I threw it in one of those counters. And I think I raised, it was $692. It was like 3 years of change. I mean, I could barely lift the bucket, let alone, and then I ended up putting in these sandwich bags, those Ziplocs. And then I put it in a regular duffel bag and I couldn't even lift it, And I ended up depositing $692 in my bank account, and then I wrote a check to ALS for $692. And so we decided that maybe we could do a national campaign on change for ALS, where everybody that does that. Today, a lot of people are coming in, and I brought my change today and I put it in a bucket. And if everybody does that, could you imagine the amount of money we could raise for ALS? I mean, it might, the Ice Bucket Challenge was great. That was $100 to pour a bucket of ice water over your head. But if everybody gave all their change to ALS, maybe we could help find a cure. And that's the one thing that I'm most excited about, is now we have a fundraiser that could go national. And I'm so excited about Major League Baseball having Lou Gehrig night in every Major League stadium this year. That's going to bring a lot of awareness to it. I think every Major League locker room, when guys get to the locker room, they always have change. They have a big bucket in there, and everybody's going to take their change and put it in the bucket in every Major League locker room. I think that's what we're trying to do. I don't know if it's going to happen because of the pandemic. We tried to do this last year, but with COVID, it just never got off the ground. So this year we're up and running, and hopefully we'll be able to raise a lot of money for ALS to not only help people, but to help find a cure. And that's why I'm here.
So get your change out of your pocket.
Right. Everybody.
Put it in a jar and keep it, and then give it away. Give it to this program, wonderful program. Getting back to defining ALS. ALS is defined as an orphan disease. An orphan disease meaning that it doesn't affect a lot of people like cancer or heart disease, diabetes. I think the number the last time I saw was about an average of 30,000 people in our country have ALS. The difference is that with cancer and heart disease and diabetes, there are cures for it. There are many types of cancer, there are cures for it. ALS, there's no cure. And that's why we still are here raising funds for the research and for Mid-American chapter of the ALS here to help those people who have it. Because you get the disease, it's a death sentence. And I saw it happen as George did with Keith Worthington. I saw it with my caddy Bruce Edwards. What it does to the body is awful. And what we're trying to do is, as I told Bruce before he died, I said to him, I'm going to continue to help raise funds until we find a cure for it. And like George said, I'm really tired of doing this every year. I want this never to happen again. I want the cure to happen. I want these researchers to come through and open the door, and so that people like Scott Smith, who are going to see today here, have real hope that they can get cured from it. We did with AIDS. AIDS. It took 11 or 12 years with AIDS, but they finally found a cure for AIDS. We need a cure for ALS in the worst way.
It's meaningful for us that Joe McGuff's name is associated with this. We kind of fond memory of Joe.
Yeah, I mean, he was. The one thing about Joe McGuff, I always thought he was very fair. If you're playing bad, I don't care if you're the star of the team or not. He would say, "Hey, he's not playing good right now, and as a result, the team's not winning." But he was very, very fair. He was very knowledgeable. He was a fun guy to be around. He always had humor. Even when the team was going bad, he'd come in the locker room and he'd ask a question and kind of giggle like, I got to ask this, But he was he was a good man. And Joe, when he was diagnosed with ALS, and he had other things wrong with him too, but then I think ALS was the final thing that put him over the hill. I thought it was fitting. That the tournament not be named the George Brett Golf Tournament, that it would be named after Joe McGuff, who was a Kansas City icon. I don't know how long he worked at the Star, but he was just a fun guy to be around. And I remember in 1980 during the World Series when I had my famous bout of hemorrhoids, they came up and they asked me, Joe had to ask me, hey, so the reason you came out of game 2 and the Royals are winning comfortably, what happened? And he says, he had just found out. And all these guys were around, and somebody asked me that question. I looked up and I said, yeah, why does it happen to me? Why not Joe McGuff? Joe could still write stories and stuff with a case of hemorrhoids. And that was the name of his book. Why me? Why not Joe McGuff? So that's the type of guy he was. Just a fun guy to be around. And his family comes out here and supports the tournament, and it's always good to see them.
Joe was he loved Kansas City. And he had a great sense of history of Kansas City. And I remember after being interviewed by him and being around him for so many years, I said, let's go. Could you take me? We were talking about the architecture of Kansas City, the downtown Kansas City. I said, can we just go around and can you give me some historical perspective of the buildings here and who built them and when? And like that, and we spent 4 hours in the car going around. He took me to a budget session at the Star. Okay, what stories are going on the front page when they're like this? He took me to that, and I went down and saw how the Star operated. So it was, but he had a great sense of the history of the people of Kansas City, and in particular, he was instrumental in getting the Royals to Kansas City after Charlie Finley took the athletics to Oakland. Joe went to the city fathers and the political people and said, we need baseball in Kansas City. Now, let's get together and let's get this done. I'm not sure how he how he effectively got it done, and who really got it done. But we ended up with Ewing Kauffman, and Ewing Kauffman became the father of the Royals, and that's the reason that stadium is called Kauffman Stadium, and it all has to do with Joe McGuff.
Hey, it's Blair. We have a special subscription offer for SportsBeat KC listeners, unlimited digital access to the Kansas City Star's award-winning sports coverage. Sign up now for 1 year of Sports Pass for access to all the sports news, features, and columns presented on the kansascity.com site, and it's only $30. That's a 40% savings off our regular rate. Your subscription will automatically renew after the initial term at $50 unless you tell us to cancel. Your subscription helps support the sports coverage of kansascity.com and the Kansas City Star, and that support has never been more important. Please visit kansascity.com/SportsBeatKC offer to get this special offer. And as always, thanks for listening.
For both of you, I was thinking about this. We didn't get to see you in person last year at this event. George, I know I spoke with you at one point about COVID itself and dealing with it, but I wonder what your sense is, to follow up on Colleen's point, of how COVID has affected the severity of the need for ALS help, but also just how each of you have kind of navigated the last year yourselves, trying to get through that crazy time of feeling the pandemic at every turn.
I got to know my wife a lot better. We didn't do anything. I mean, when this thing happened, about 3 days later, we had a freezer delivered, a huge freezer, and it was full of everything. And I don't think we went to a restaurant for like 3 months. And we would eat dinner at the house every night. We started binge watching shows, and it was just her and I in the house, and it was strange. I still went to some baseball games, and it was the weirdest thing in the world, go into Kauffman Stadium with no fans in the stands. And I would go there, and
It had to be awful.
It was brutal.
I mean, awful.
One day I went and sat in the upper deck. I was the only one in the stadium. Got a foul ball. My third foul ball. I got a foul ball out of it. No, I ran over and got it, though. I was in the upper deck right behind the home plate, and the ball went up there, and I was the only one. I walked over and grabbed it, hey, I got a ball, But it was God, it was a tough time. It was a tough time. I mean, I still mask up wherever I go. I've got both vaccinations, and I feel great. And it's weird how we had some people staying at our house one time. One guy got it, and somebody else didn't. And they're living at my house. And so it's a strange disease. I don't know how it works. Like, I don't know how ALS works. But I've been around a lot of people that have had it. I've never gotten it. And my wife had never gotten it. But it was a strange year, and I think I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. There's nothing would please me more when the All-Star break on, Kansas City Royals start having 35,000 people at the ballpark again. I'm sure nothing would please John Sherman more and all the other owners of the team when that happens. I hope when football season starts, the Chiefs have 78,000 people. And life can get back to normal, because it's been a tough year, not only for us in Kansas City, but everybody around the world. I mean, I have trips planned. I had a trip last year planned to Europe. We're not going. I had a trip this year planned to Europe. We're not going. We just postponed it till next year. I don't even know if we'll go next year, because America is America. And I think we're going to be out of this before anybody else, because we are the United States of America. And I think my trip next year to Europe will probably be canceled again, because they are not us. They are not us.
Yeah, I remained isolated pretty much. I live kind of an isolated life. I live on a farm, so I'm with my dogs and don't see a lot of people. George when they opened up the golf courses, he was out there playing golf.
I was playing golf every day. Yeah.
And golf was the ultimate great sport to be able to play. You're outside, getting that vitamin D, and I never could figure out. Actually, it was a perfect perfect comparison. They had a picture of a golf cart in the middle of the fairway, like this, and the top of the picture. Bottom picture, they had a parking lot full of cars, and the top picture said unsafe, with a single cart in the fairway, and the parking lot full of cars was at Walmart, and it said safe. And that just described to me the situation that we're in and the type of mentality that we had in the situation. Golf was in fact, in the UK, golf was basically just opened up, where they allowed people to play golf on the golf course outside. And as George said, in Europe, in Ireland, you couldn't travel more than 5 kilometers from your house, or you get a ticket if you were caught. They had much more severe restrictions, and the point is, I'd love to go to the Open Championship this summer. I can't go. I can't go there. They're way behind as far as opening up from herd immunity, if you will. The vaccinations and herd immunity. We don't know, nor can anybody really put a finger on just a window of time. Say we're going to open up everything in this country between July 1st and August 1st, or next year where all the kids are going to go back to school. No, we have people saying no. There's a good chance that people are not, the kids are not going to go back to school next year, and the kids are almost naturally immune to the disease, and I don't understand the mentality, and it just it dumbfounds me in a lot of ways to see the kids not going back to school. I don't understand that. I just don't understand that.
Tom, we were joking a little bit before about getting your jollies by power washing. But I'm curious, over the course of last year, you just said you've been largely isolated. What have you been up to keep yourself going? What's been your
Well, I as you know, I started riding cutting horses about 5 years ago, and that's how I've been able to get down to the Fort Worth area and ride some cutting horses quite often, and practice on them. It hasn't done my show results very well because I missed the cut this last show. I didn't miss too many cuts as a pro, but I'm missing way too many cuts in the cutting horse show business.
It keeps you going to try to keep you better, huh?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Tom, you are a professional golfer. You're a weekend warrior when it comes to cutting horses.
That's right.
Has that filled a competitive spirit for you?
Yes, it has. Yeah, I enjoy the competition. I enjoy, putting it on the line. When you're walking into that show pen on the back of your horse, you got 2.5 minutes to cut 3 cows. When you walk into that thing, let's do it. Let's get it right. Let's use what instincts I have, which are not, they're not refined. My instincts aren't refined as far as riding a horse is concerned, and that's my difficulty. That's where I fail. And I'm on a golf course. My instincts I can hit a shot, that a 40-yard wedge shot, without knowing how far it is, because I can just see it and hit it there. It's like George hitting a baseball, and when he sees that, he can put the bat, he can barrel that barrel on that ball like that. He has the instinct. When it comes to golf, a little bit different. Although he's pretty darn good.
When it came to baseball, you're a little bit different too. When you came out and took batting practice with us, I saw a few of these. You'd hit it off the end or get jammed, and you go, damn! God, does that sting? Some of my golf shots I do now. God, did that hurt?
Hal McRae was the manager then. They asked him, "What do you guys ask him? What do you think of Watson's swing?" And he just kind of goes, He shakes his head. What swing? It's kind of like Stan Thurst, my old pro. He was asked about it. One of his members swing, and he just jokes, what swing? Like that.
George, how about the Royals?
He brought up Stan Thursk. When you learn to swing easy, you'll learn to live with the added distance.
That's right. Yeah.
That's what he would every time I'd play with him and Charlie Lewis over at Mission Hills.
Yeah.
I'd play golf. First hole, I'd get up and I'd swing, and he thought I swung too hard. He'd say, George, when you learn to swing easy, you'll learn to live with the added distance. I think right now the Royals are swinging too hard. They're trying to do more than they're capable of doing, and it's like any team that goes into a slump, you're
trying too hard.
They just get to try too hard.
I watched every game,
and that's what it is. When you're winning, it's easy because everybody's contributing. Now nobody's contributing, and everybody's trying to be the guy to get them over the hump. And as a result, you try too hard. I always said, don't try harder, try easier. And
all the line drives are going right at the
and
then
then you get frustrated, and you get frustrated because your team loses. You don't mind lining out if the team wins, but every time you lose, you say, God, we hit 9 balls hard and we scored 1 run. If you win 4-2 and you hit 9 balls hard, you don't say that. Hey, we played the game right. We moved runners over. We got big hits. Our pitching was great. But it seemed like early in the year, starting pitching was a little shaky. Bullpen was great. And they were doing enough offensively to win. And now it's to a point where the starting pitching has been better. You still have some bad outings once in a while, but the bullpen's kind of letting them down in some situations. And now everybody's just trying to do more than they're capable with a bat in their hand. And as a result, you lose 8 in a row. Hopefully the day off, everybody will take a deep breath. I know Whit Merrifield's out playing golf today somewhere, and he and Keller and some of the boys will be out playing golf somewhere, and they'll get on the plane, fly to wherever they're flying, and have a nice day off to kind of just regroup. I'm sure they were flying high coming home. Oh, God, we just went on a 10-day road trip, and we're in first place by 2 or 3 games, and we got Cleveland, big series, the White Sox, big series, then you get swept by those 2 teams. It was devastating to them. It had to be devastating. But I think Mike Matheny's doing a good job. He'll keep them upbeat, and I just think the day off's going to do them a lot of good.
It is funny for both of you. I mean, you've had unbelievable success, but also you've known slumps of your own, and I don't know if from this distance you have a notion of how to advise anybody on dealing with that, but what would it be?
It's try easier, not harder for me. And think positive. You just got to think positive. I mean, you're 1 for 15, and you go to the ballpark that day and you say, today's the day. Today's the day. I'm going to get them. It's a mindset. A lot of it's a mindset, isn't it?
You got to do with the tools that are working for you. And sometimes none of the tools are working. So you really just have to scramble and find out the best way to score. I mean, that's, I always had the ability to score when I was playing badly. I just wouldn't allow myself to turn that bogey into a double bogey. It killed me. And, that was my attitude. And, I tried too hard. I mean, I got really frustrated with the game for many years, starting in the mid 80s until in the early 90s, and my game my golf game just went a little bit south. Didn't win. I had opportunities to win, but didn't win. But there was just a combination of things just didn't work, and I got more frustrated. I took time off, like a day off, but I took 6 weeks off a couple of times without even touching the golf club, thinking that was I come back somewhat refreshed and be able to deal with my bad swings. But it didn't work out that way. What worked out was that I had to try something outside the box with my golf swing, and that worked. And then the game got easy. But I had to stay with it. And Stan Thurst, my pro, said, it'll get better. We were out there swearing and cussing and hitting the ball crappy. in front of him. He was just as calm as, it'll get better. And Jack said the same thing to me, Nicholas. He said,
You're going to be a better player the older you get.
and he was right. He was right. So it's hard to have a positive. He says to have a positive. It's hard to have a positive attitude when you're not playing well.
Yeah, but you can
Really
trick
hard.
yourself. You can trick yourself.
Well-
Today's the day. I remember when I was young and I came up and I made a lot of errors. And there were times, the greatest sports line of ever, when somebody asked Pedro Martinez, or the third baseman for the Dodgers, Pedro Guerrero, what do you think about in the bottom of the ninth inning with the bases loaded and the Dodgers have a 1-run lead? He would say, don't hit it to me and don't hit it to Steve Sachs. I was like that as a youngster coming to the big leagues because I made a lot of errors. And every time I said, don't hit it to me, guess what? They hit it to you. The ball will find you. And all of a sudden, I started tricking myself. Hit it to me. I want it. I want it. I want it. Come on, hit it. All of a sudden, I became a better defensive player. I have seen guys, actually, what I played with, the game on the line, they're walking up 8th inning, and they're walking up to bat with 2 outs and a tying run or winning run on second base, and they look back at the dugout to see if the manager actually wanted them to hit. Are you going to send a pinch hitter for me or what? I would have taken him out and put Mark Gubicza on to go hit. He's got a better chance than this guy. And I was the opposite in that situation. I wanted to be the guy. And then once I got over my lack of confidence fielding, because all I kept saying was, I want it, I want it, I want it, I became a pretty good fielder. And the same thing happened when I was hitting. I knew the pitcher didn't want to face me. So, and in situations that I look back at right now, it seems like every time I had a big hit in the playoffs, I guarantee you one thing, my heart was beating slower than the pitcher's. You know what I mean? It's like putting on the 18th hole of a major, the 72nd hole of a major, and you and some guy that's never won a major before, and you've won 10 or whatever. All of a sudden, you guys got similar putts. Your heart's going to be beating slower than his, right? And he's going to be up there. He's going to be a little antsy, and you've done this before. I'll do it again. Chances of you make it are a lot better than him making it. Rory McIlroy yesterday, it was pretty impressive how he takes a drop with a 2-shot lead and drops it. Did you see that, what he did?
No.
He hits it over by the creek at Quail Hollow, and it was in the yellow hazard. He had terrible lie. He's got a 2-shot lead. He's trying to figure out where he's going to hit it. He can't hit it anywhere. He takes it, he drops it, side hill light like this in the rough. So now he's hitting 3, and he's winning by 2. He's got a tough shot. He knocks it on the green, 2 putts for a bogey. But I guarantee you, his heart wasn't beating very fast because he's won so much. He's been there, done that. Keith Mitchell's won once.
That'll do it for today. Thanks to our Sports BKC production staff of Derek Donovan, Beth Welsh, Monty Davis, Jeff Rosen, Chris Pickett, and Savannah Smith. Links to stories about the Joe McGuff ALS Classic can be found in the show notes and on kansascity.com. Hey, we have another deal for you. You can subscribe to Sports Pass for 99 cents a month. That's right, 99 pennies a month. Sports Pass is the online version of the Star Sports section. You get all the stories that appear in the print editions of the Star, plus more stories that appear only on the website, and certainly they all appear first on the Star's website. After 3 months, it auto-renews at $5.99 a month unless you cancel. And it's always a great time to subscribe. Read what's going on about the Chiefs, the Royals, the colleges, our soccer teams, and more. How do you get it? You go to kansascity.com/sportspass2020. That's kansascity.com/sportspass2020. Do you want more than just sports coverage? Check out the entire Kansas City Star product. Sports, news, features, commentary, and analysis, the whole thing. You get all the stories written by my talented colleagues, plus additional national news, sports, and business coverage with the e-edition. The details for all of these deals can be found at account.kansascity.com. kansascity.com/subscribe. And if you're having trouble hunting down any of those offers, send me an email, bkirkhoff@kcstar.com, and I'll get you to the right place. So whether it's the Sports Pass or the full subscription, you're getting and supporting the best sports and news coverage in Kansas City and helping us produce programs like SportsBeat KC. Thanks for listening. We'll be back on Tuesday with another episode.